Good evening and welcome to a new show I'm calling the A Block. I am Steven Schroeder. Thank you for joining me. My idea behind the A Block is even though our television studio is closed until the fall, I thought I would try to create a newscast-like show right here from the comfort of my own home. In this show, I'll recap the day's biggest news in under 10 minutes. I'm trying to make one episode a week, then hopefully daily during the summer. Today's top story starts right after this. It was quite the scene outside the governor's mansion yesterday as hundreds of Donald Trump supporters protested the current stay-at-home order while expressing the need to reopen the economy. CBS News has more.
Some of Minnesota is pushing back
Freedom and liberty. We're losing it.
against the stay-at-home order that has left many shut out of a job during this COVID-19 crisis.
I feel like our jobs are all essential in the state of Minnesota, and I don't feel like any governor, even Governor Walz or anybody else, can't determine who or when we decide we want to go to work or where we work or anything like that.
Carrying signs saying "Liberate Minnesota," they are asking Governor Walz to allow all Minnesotans to go back to work. The majority of the crowd was not following social distancing guidelines. Many also didn't have masks on. What they did have was a determination to get everyone in the state back to work. Former Congressman now running for U.S. Senate Jason Lewis showed his support for the protesters. He tweeted, "Minnesota is being held hostage and we must reopen and we must do it now." This group of President Trump supporters want immediate action. They want their lives back, and they say that begins by getting everyone back to work.
I'm a small business owner, and my business was shut down forcibly on the 17th of March, and I have yet to see any unemployment, any money come through from the government, and I'm sitting here without a paycheck with no definitive answer on when I will be returning to work, and I don't think that's right.
Now, at a press conference on Friday, Governor Tim Walz says he agrees with parts of President Trump's guidelines to restart the economy amidst the coronavirus pandemic, but is confused as to why President Trump went to Twitter and tweeted, quote, "Liberate Minnesota" earlier in the day. Local bars and restaurants all across the state now have an additional way of serving their customers as Governor Tim Walz signed into legislation allowing takeout sales of beer and wine during the pandemic. Bars and restaurants are able to sell an unopened six-pack of beer, cider, hard seltzer, or a bottle of wine with food orders. Municipalities are allowed to opt out of the change and is currently under effect. In a statement, Walz said, quote, "This is a small but important step to provide relief for the local restaurants that are struggling to keep their lights on during the pandemic." With the nice weather just ahead, more Minnesotans are now able to enjoy it thanks to a new executive order signed by Governor Tim Walz. This allows for expanded outdoor recreation and activity as long as social distancing measures are observed. Activities such as golfing, boating, fishing, hunting, and hiking are given the okay under the new order. In addition, bait shops, outdoor shooting ranges, game farms, public and private parks and trails, golf courses, driving ranges, and boating areas are now able to open. The new executive order is now in effect. Reopening the economy is on everyone's minds right now, and in an effort to determine the best plan of action, several Midwestern governors are coordinating together to figure out their next steps. Governors from Michigan, Ohio, Wisconsin, Illinois, Indiana, Kentucky, and Minnesota say they will work together with experts to create a, quote, fact-based driven approach to reopening our economy in a way that protects families from the spread of COVID-19. Earlier this week, similar pacts were made in Northeast and on the West Coast. Altogether, 17 states from 3 pacts are working together to try to figure out how to reopen the economy during the pandemic. With the unemployment rate at an all-time high, many are wondering how they will be able to pay for essentials, including rent. According to the National Multifamily Housing Council, 84% of apartment households made a full or partial payment from April 1st through April 16th. That means 16% of all families living in apartments were unable to pay. Experts worry the May numbers could be worse. Representative Ilhan Omar is introducing new legislation that would allow the ability to cancel rent payments for the duration of the pandemic. Omar says the plan would be open to anyone that needs it. And in the legislation, the federal government would cover the rent payments so lenders can still get their money.
We know right now, really, there isn't a set timeline when we expect for Congress to be back and to take on the next relief package. We think it might happen in the next 3 to 4 weeks. And so that actually gives us an opportunity to push for this because in 2 weeks, there's another rent that is due.
Moving up north of the coronavirus affecting steel production, U.S. Steel plans to indefinitely idle the Keewatin taconite plant. The move would affect 75 employees in the near term, while a total of 375 employees being affected over the next month. In a statement, U.S. Steel says the company must make additional adjustments to its raw materials production and idle the Keewatin plants in response to the, quote, sudden and dramatic decline in business conditions, end quote, resulting from the COVID-19 pandemic. Switching gears, some public health officials are sharing their concerns about how people politically identify could adversely affect how the country reopens amidst the coronavirus pandemic. President Donald Trump has stated he wants to reopen the economy sooner than later. However, polls show people trust federal health officials or their own governors to handle reopening the economy and phasing out stay-at-home orders. This confusion is what has experts worried as the country tries to stop the spread of COVID-19. And in international news, Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau says the United States and Canada have agreed to keep their border closed to non-essential travel for another 30 days. The Prime Minister says the move will keep people on both sides of the border safe during the pandemic. On Saturday, Vice President Mike Pence celebrated the graduating class of 2020 at the Air Force Academy by giving their commencement address. This marks his second trip outside Washington in the past 6 weeks and gives a sense of normalcy during the pandemic. In an effort to keep everyone safe, the event was closed to the public and graduates were seating several seats apart from each other. A huge congrats goes out to the class of 2020. And finally tonight, exciting news for a University of Minnesota sophomore who recently became the first winner of Jeopardy's College Championship. Nabir Sirma studies mechanical engineering at the U and is from Eden Prairie. Sarma beat second-place finisher Tyler Combs, who is a senior at Indiana University. Sarma took home $100,000 and is the first winner of the tournament from a public university since 2004. A huge congratulations goes out to him. And with that, the first episode of the A Block is wrapped up. Thank you for joining me, and I'll see you again next week. Have a good night.